Hi, this is Sylvia Rice, and this is my two extended endings. The first one's going to be from Like a Winding Sheet, and I chose Woofing for my play, but I'll reintroduce that in the next part. So, my extended ending, Like a Winding Sheet, Johnson had been called and degraded by one evil word, nigger, for the third and final time for the day. The tingling that was in his hands, which started at his fingertips, was ultimately relieved. However, the pain he felt in his heart and the shame he felt in his spirit was overwhelming. He had once prided himself with saying he could never hit a woman, and here now he has hit May, the woman of his life, and the woman that he shared his life with was the first woman that he decided to hit. Not once, but repeatedly, clearly an overkill. And that's exactly what he discovered when he returned to himself. He had killed May. Her face, barely recognizable, the red lipstick that she once wore is smeared with crimson blood stains that dripped from the place her face once intact belonged. The lips he once kissed so softly to say good morning and good night to, gone. What have I done? He asked himself. What is he to do now? I can't run. Surely everyone has heard the glasses in a place that was set on the table for dinner breaking. They surely heard the tussling of May trying to escape the wrath from his fist. Someone had to have heard May scream. This is what May felt in her spirit of this Friday the 13th, being a day that she was dreading even going out of the house. There was no phone inside their tiny apartment. He has to go out to the street, to the payphone, even to call the police. But I'm covered in blood. Anyone seeing me would have to know I done beat the life out of something. Ain't no pigs in Harlem for slaughter, he said out loud to himself. Damn women, don't she know the typical day in the life of a colored man? Nigger, nigger, nigger is all they know to say. We have to hear it from the white man and the white woman, but we ought not to have to hear it in our own house before we sit down to have supper. He goes outside to find a payphone, which he walks past every day on his way home from work. But now today, instead of it being one city block, it feels like a subway and a train ride away. Several people pass him along his way. The first person is Mrs. Scott, his work supervisor. She looks at him and almost said, "Where you going, nigga? That's gonna make you late for work tonight?" Already prepared to follow it up with a laugh, but then she suddenly notices that his eyes are filled with tears and his head is hanging low. And instead, Mrs. Scott offers her assistance instead of her insult. Johnson is still not really in his right mind, but vaguely recognizes her face and in a haze sees her lips move. But in his mind, he punches her like he had thought about earlier this morning on his shift. It's not real tough, though. It's not real, though, because he's actually walking to the phone booth. He just kept walking. In another few steps, he'll be there to make his 911 call. When he reaches the phone booth, it had the girl from the coffee station on the phone, flipping her hair, of course. Johnson is still out of his mind, this out-of-body trance experience, because it's not really the same girl, but it's someone that looks like her and has that same way of flipping her hair in a dismissive way, telling him to wait his turn. Johnson has another violent fit of rage and pulls the folding door of the booth almost off the track, screaming like the madman he now looks to be, covered in blood, some wet and some dried into the creases of his own skin. It's my turn now. He doesn't even recognize this voice from within himself, which also immediately you could hear sirens raging from the distance. There's 6 cruisers and 2 policemen in each of them. 12 policemen disembarked their vehicles with guns drawn, locked and loaded, ready to fire. Fingers on the trigger, hands in the air, several officers shout in unison. Johnson is so crazy, he's still standing at the phone booth, waiting on his turn. He hasn't heard the sirens, the bullhorns, or not one thing. But one thing he does know for sure, he will not be called another nigger, not today. The girl in the phone booth is too afraid to come out, and Johnson's hands are still not in the air. Someone has got to penetrate this state he's in. And here it is now, this sweet low voice of May. Get up, honey. You don't want to be late again. It was all a dream. A very bad, awful dream. Now Johnson must recognize he has got to allow himself to deal with the frustrations of being a black man in a more positive way so that this dream is never allowed to become his reality. Now for my next read, it's going to be from the play Woofing, and this is my extended ending as follows. The characters include Good Black, his woman, who I named LaCheryl, and another woman named Michelle, who's single, seeking a husband, either one of her own or someone else's, and there will probably be some other people to join in, like Sharita, the neighborhood woman, very well known and well knows everyone's business. The band is playing a second line for the catch and the practice of the day. We don't need a reason to play to have a parade here in New Orleans. For those few moments of buck jumping and rump shaking, everyone has an opportunity to forget about work or worries. The music has trailed off and the band has left the quarters and is snapped back to reality. There is work to be done. And if anybody knows how to be a fun killer and snap back to work, it's LaCheryl. LaCheryl says, Good Black, I ain't gonna tell you not one more time to take these clothes over that county line road for them white folks. You ain't got no money, and you about to mess with my money, and ain't neither one of us gonna eat. Good Black responds, Lord have his mercy, woman. You was getting on my last thread of nerve I got. I don't need you reminding me in front of company about no money. That hot woman Michelle is heading up the road straight for the house. You keep on worrying me, and I know she'll be grateful just to have a man in her house. I won't have to do much of nothing but just keep her tangling. Sharita says, Oh, my Lord, LaCheryl, don't even worry about how disrespectful he being. Them clothes will get where they need to be in time before they supposed to. I told you stop worrying about being a Martha and focus on being a Mary, child. Be a Mary. Michelle steps up onto the yard, approaching the porch of LaCheryl's house, where the men have taken up gathering. It's about 3 or 4 of them. Hey, fellas, she hollers. She has a voice that makes most women fume, and the men seem like they just get hypnotized. So what's the game of today? Spades? Checkers? Big whiz? Whatever is your pleasure is also mine. From inside the house, you can hear LaCheryl saying, one of these days, Michelle is going to get more than she bargained for with her fast ass. I have a good mind to use some of that lye I used to wash them clothes in to give her a good washing. See whose man will want to, once that lye soap gets a hold of her, it will wash her whiter than snow for sure. Girl, Michelle, what do you want round here today, Sharita said. One of the men hollered back, I got what she want, and I probably got what she need. So she best go on in the house. It ain't safe for her out here on this porch for sure. All the men break out in laughter, hands up in the air, just like one spoke a scripture straight out of Proverbs. Hush, y'all. LaCheryl is so sick of this daily occurrences, whether it is Good Black being lazy about doing any work. That man is too lazy to taste pies in a pie factory. Everyone thinks because he's got a pretty smile and what some folks would call good hair, he's a catch. I remember when I was the ringleader for that foolishness, I had my very own band that played an ode to Good Black every day. She's also tired of this peppermint oil smelling woman, Michelle, coming around her house because Good Black and his friends for sure are going to be somewhere around my house just to get her ego filled. I'm sick of both of these things happening around here every day. Sharita can sense that LaCheryl is smoking from her ears and her nostril and tries to diffuse this situation. Sharita says to Michelle, "Girl, how you doing?" Sounding like a guest on the Wendy Williams morning show. Michelle responds, "I'm just as bored and broke as these fine looking gentlemen sitting out here on this porch. So I just came around here looking for some work or some light conversation. Either of them will do me just fine." When Michelle, I'm sure the Cheryl can find some work around here. She was just talking about some clothes that need to be delivered across the county line to the white folks. Maybe you could help her do that to make you some money. What you say there, LaCheryl? Well, to be honest, I could use more of a hand with laundering than the delivery. Black does look forward to making the deliveries for me once he finally gets deplanted off the porch. Oh, LaCheryl, I would love to be here to help you with the laundry. I never had a sister of sorts to really show me how ladies do certain things. I could start today right away. Wow, that was a surprise to LaCheryl. What Michelle really wanted was a group of women. She wanted that's what she wanted and was drawn to the sisterhood she felt from Sharita and LaCheryl. She wanted that. But what was familiar to her was men and the attention that she got from men. But what she desired was to be a better woman. She desired truly to be whiter than snow. What she wanted was to be saved, and she didn't know how to ask for it. But she could see and was drawn to the one thing that these women had. They had the love of Christ. Now LaCheryl could finally see what Sharita meant by stop being a Martha but become a Mary. Stop worrying about everything else and focus on the main thing, the love of Christ, and letting your light so shine. Curtain. Thank you.